First, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. But what I'm trying to understand is, and anybody can answer this, how do these people on the court, how do they rationalize it?
It's a good question, and I don't think, it actually boggles my mind. This one particularly boggles my mind because not too long before this decision, when Chief Justice Roberts was going through his nomination hearings, he was talking about calling balls and strikes. That's what he was. He was an umpire calling balls and strikes. He had no political agenda, and there's no way you can look at what the court did in Citizens United, including, as Craig says, taking up an issue that was abandoned below, that nobody was arguing that issue, but they wanted to decide. And they threw out precedent, they threw out all the rationales, all the principles they used for not deciding a constitutional issue unless they had to, and did it. And I think I actually think they were surprised by the response. I think this organizing that's going on, the fact that this decision was such a flashpoint, I think took the court by surprise, and I think there was a little bit of a, wow, we didn't realize that we were going to this was going to inflame people as much as it did. I think they did it because they could, and that's what's really scary.
To legislate something that might suggest each issue, whatever issue pops up in a campaign, there has to be equal time to discuss all sides, equal airtime.
It has astounded me that many of the Republicans who have championed disclosure and transparency, Susan Collins, any number of them, Olympia Snowe, we could not get a single Republican in the Senate to vote for the Disclose Act in the last session. And the Disclose Act wouldn't regulate politics. All it would do was require disclosure, full disclosure of where the money's coming from. What was going on was the Republican caucus marched in lockstep with Mitch McConnell because they knew that the policies of the Democrats and the Obama administration of regulating Wall Street and the banks, regulating the healthcare industry, was going to bring out their money, their corporate money, in mass supporting Republican candidates, as long as it didn't have to be disclosed to the American public where that money's coming from. And so even the Republicans who have long championed disclosure abandoned disclosure.
We've talked about the Coke industries a lot. This is a right-wing ideologue, basically an acolyte of Ayn Rand, who believes the virtue of selfishness. This is their political philosophy. I've talked to David Koch personally, and that's his philosophy. He wants to go back to a time of Ayn Rand when everybody was out for themselves, survival of the fittest, winner take all is their approach. But there are a few things, that we can do. For example, we can vote with our pocketbook when we go to the store. We should know what these people are producing. What gives them the financial wherewithal to make these billions and billions of dollars. In fact, you know about ExxonMobil and so on, but there aren't a whole lot of good oil and gas companies. But let me just tell you about the Coke industries. Angel Soft toilet paper, Brawny paper towels. You buy Brawny paper towels, you contribute into Coke Industries. Dixie plates, their bowls, their napkins, their cups. As soon as the Republicans took over the House of Representatives, they threw out all of the biodegradable utensils we were using in the cafeterias, and they require us to buy styrofoam cups and plates and so on that are manufactured by Dixie. And in fact, this is part of Coke Industries. The CEO was one of the partners of Coke Industries that is now benefiting from what we have to buy because we're basically a captive audience in the House of Representatives. Quilted northern toilet paper, Mardi Gras napkins, soft and gentle toilet, a lot of toilet paper, obviously. That's what it's about. Vanity Fair napkins, Lycra, you see Lycra used all the time, Stainmaster carpet. Okay, so that's something we could do, and I think it's going to require a certain amount of effort and homework on our part, but that's what would really hurt if we organized and hit them where it matters. There's certainly nothing wrong with looking into who it is you're supporting when you purchase products and services. Pat Malloy asks about a foreign government-controlled corporation. Can they actually engage in this? Can foreign corporations engage in political influence by contributing? And the answer is yes. One of the things the Disclose Act would do, and that's what brought it to mind when Craig mentioned it, it would require everyone to disclose, and it would prevent foreign corporations from being able to influence our American elections. But every Republican voted against it. As Craig has mentioned, the AFL-CIO tried to lobby for it, but the Republicans wouldn't listen to any of the arguments because they know this is where they're going to get their money, and they think this is where they're going to get their majority back. Now we have a number of Disclose Act. Some of the questions asked what legislative vehicles you could try a constitutional amendment. That's an awfully long process, and right now we couldn't get a constitutional amendment through the House, but ultimately that's what should be done to overturn this ruling. But the best thing is the Disclose Act, and we just couldn't get it through a Republican Congress. There's a question here from Marie Pierre from Falls Church. What's the best way to say Medicare be to end the ban on government negotiating drug prices with drug companies, which will save $1 trillion over 10 years? This Citizens United decision is not representative of American values. It turns, as I said, the Constitution upside down. And one of the reasons why they've been able to get away with what they've gotten away with is the diminution of the role of organized labor. So there aren't enough people speaking out for the working class. And that's why, while productivity and profit has gone up, as Bill said so well, the wages have gone down. And we're paying for it in any number of other ways, and that goes to the question that was asked about Medicare. Once they elected George Bush, we got 2 deep tax cuts, never paid for, that bankrupted our country, went into 2 wars, and then went into a Medicare entitlement program that was not paid for either. And the reason why this Part D is so expensive is that there's a provision in that law that prohibits the federal government from negotiating on behalf of Medicare beneficiaries. Had we been able to negotiate using the same pool, the leverage that we have under Medicare now so that we can keep reimbursements low, had we been able to negotiate in the way that the Veterans Administration currently negotiates and Medicaid negotiates, in terms of Medicaid, we'd be paying about half what the federal government pays for prescription drugs. If we pay what VA pay, it's almost a third. That's profit. That's what the drug companies get from investing in lobbyists. It was mentioned that 60 plus that's going to oppose our efforts to control the Ryan Republican. Let me put it differently. That supports the Ryan Republican plan to basically get Medicare the way it's currently funded. We talked about pharma. Pharma is the pharmaceutical industry. I assume most of you know that. And they're the ones that fund this. There's an enormous amount of profit at stake. If you can deregulate the government oversight, and if you can keep taxes low, and if you can keep the American people ignorant of what's going on. And that's what this is about.
I just wanted to add one last thought, and that is, after what we saw in Egypt, I really don't think we have an excuse. These people were in danger of being tortured They're in danger of being brutalized by their government. I don't think we're quite there yet. Okay?
Not far.
And they were able to defeat a 30-year dictator with Twitter, Facebook, and heart. Okay?